Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Christmas Wellness Special. My name is Leanne, and I am the ESS Head of Nutrition and Wellness. So today it's a whistle-stop tour around how to help your health and well-being throughout the Christmas period. So we're going to take you through some tips for preparing a healthier Christmas, how to save a few pennies, reduce waste, and to be a little bit more sustainable, how to be a little bit mindful at Christmas, because obviously it can get very busy, and this year is a little bit different, I would say. And it's not too cold to exercise either, so how to try and keep a little bit active throughout that Christmas period, whenever we're probably all being a little bit having a lot of indulgence. So, tips for preparing a healthier Christmas. So the first one I would say would be portion distortion. So really watch your portion sizes. Try, where possible, to only cook for the number of people that are actually dining with you and for their actual appetite. So, obviously, if you have children, they won't eat as much as what you would eat, or grandparents, if we are able to kind of share Christmas with grandparents, their appetites may not be as much. Obviously, you might want a little bit more than what everyone is going to eat, but try not to do it excessively. In terms of portion sizes, a good example here is, roast potatoes. We all like to stock them up, but four small potatoes is in and around 300 calories. So that's actually quite a lot of calories in terms of proportion of your overall Christmas dinner. Order of serving is another thing that can help you sort of not rack up the calories during Christmas dinner. So I would suggest plating up your vegetables first, and then your meat, and then your carbohydrates. Obviously, there's starchy carbohydrates, but they do tend to be roasted potatoes, which are a little bit more fattening. So plating up your vegetables first means that you will get a good range of vitamins and minerals, and hopefully maybe cut down on the calories of the overall meal as well. And then cooking methods. So again, Christmas is more indulgent. We do tend to kind of really splash out in the way we prepare food. But if you are trying to look at being a little bit healthier, I would suggest steaming instead of boiling. So boiling your veg, the vitamins and minerals will leach out, whereas if you steam, you keep retain the nutrition. Frying or roasting vegetables, again, I would rather steam than fry or roasting. But if you're going to roast, I would spray get one of the oil sprays rather than kind of putting a glove of oil on it. And then also, we tend to add some things to the vegetables and our potatoes after they're ready to be, or when they're ready to be eaten. So aim not to put some butter or any sauces, etc. on it as well, and that will help cut down on the calories. In terms of reducing excess fat, so if you do have the traditional turkey, I would suggest removing the skin from the turkey before you eat it. If you go for roast beef or lamb, again, trim the fat off. If you have to have pigs and blankets, do you have to have as many? Could you only have one or two? And the same with gravy. I'm not saying don't have gravy, but perhaps you could reduce the portion size and maybe just put it over your meat rather than your whole dinner, as the majority of us do tend to do. Again, we all often have a cheese board at Christmas, and cheese is quite high in fat and saturated fat. So why not opt for one or two lower fat and salt options as part of your cheese board? It's not about going from one extreme to the other, but just incorporating a few slight changes, and that will really make quite a big difference overall. And then, where practically possible, use lower fat cream. So do you have to use double? Does it have to be whipping cream, or can you use single cream? Or if you're putting cream into a sauce, can you use single cream rather than double cream, or even semi-skimmed milk? Or could you even use half single cream and half semi-skimmed milk? Because again, it's a little nudge in the right direction of being a little bit healthier, whilst also allowing yourself a little bit of indulgence too. And then in terms of sauces and condiments, so if you're making your sauce yourself, aim for the lower fat options where practically possible. And when buying, I know Heinz, for example, have lower sugar and salt mayonnaise, tomato ketchup. There's a lot of other lower fat, salt and sugar options out there as well. So, why not opt for them? Again, it's a little nudge in the right direction of being a little bit healthier and not consuming as many calories. We all usually like to have a drink or two during the festive period, but my suggestion is actually to try and go easy on the drinking. I know this Christmas is going to be quite different. More so, we may actually be at home rather than out and about due to potential restrictions, but that doesn't mean to say that we can have more drinks because we're not having to drive. Calories in terms of drinking are quite significant. So, it is 9 calories per mil of alcohol unit. So that can really rack up and it provides you with no other nutritional value. Also, alcohol can be quite high in sugar. So an example here is a pint of cider contains as many as 5 teaspoons. The government recommends then, that you consume a maximum of 14 units per week over a minimum of 3 days. What does that look like? Here we go. So you can see that, really a pint is more than 1 unit. Same as a glass of wine, a standard spirit, and an alcopop. Even if you were just to have one, it's more than 1 unit. So do be mindful. What does it look like, however? What does 14 units look like? So it would be roughly 6 pints of 4% beer, 6 glasses of 13% wine, and 14 glasses of 40% whiskey as a guide. However, it is really important to consider the alcohol by volume percentage because this can really affect the numbers, the total number of units that you would be having per drink. And if you just look here, you can see the difference. So for the same glass of wine or same glass of or size of wine, you can see that 11% is 1.4 units, whereas 14% is 1.8 units. So it really can rack up. A few tips then. So try not to drink in between meals. And if you are, maybe alternate it between a non-alcoholic and an alcoholic beverage. Opt for smaller measures, so smaller glasses, but that doesn't mean to say you can drink twice as much, so do be mindful of that. And remember the sugar content. So if you're having a spirit such as gin or vodka, why not opt for a diet or zero mixer? And that will cut down on the sugar and the calories. So how can we save some pennies, reduce waste and be a little bit more sustainable throughout Christmas? So where possible, if you can use a local supplier and UK produce, that's always a bonus. Buy food that meets credible certified standards. Only use seasonal ingredients. So the best example I could give you here is, do you need all that exotic fruit within your traditional trifle? It's not seasonal. You probably are charged an arm and a leg for it. So do you really need it? And you could reduce your meat portion size. So do you really need a large turkey? Could you go for a slightly smaller one? If you are only having your wife and your children or your grandparents over for Christmas, do you really need a huge turkey? Could you maybe just have a traditional chicken instead, which would also cut down on the portion size and the cost? And you could also try to aim for at least one meat-free meal over the Christmas period as well to be more sustainable. You also, as I said at the start, need to think about who you're cooking for in terms of portion size to prevent food waste. But this will also save in terms of the preparation. So if you know who you're preparing Christmas dinner for, you don't need to buy as much. And that also will stop you doing or preparing larger portions too. Look at the dates of the products and use accordingly. So we do tend to stock up at Christmas. So it is important to use the date that expires first. And that will mean you'll be throwing less food out. If you have perhaps cooked a little bit too much, instead of having repeated dinners and getting a little bit sick of the roast dinners, there are other things that you can prepare. So roasted vegetables are great in a soup. All you need to do is add the stock and heat it up. Curries, hot pots and pies, and you can also freeze it, but do ensure that you put the date on which you froze the food so that it doesn't be in the freezer for too long. Moving on then to mindfulness. So, this year obviously is very different for many of us, but that aside, Christmas can often affect our mental health. We can either get a little bit overwhelmed by how busy it is and, kind of having to continuously meet people. This year it may be, too many virtual things are going on, or perhaps you're going back home and seeing old family and friends and you feel you don't quite measure up. All of that can really affect your mindfulness or your mental health. Mindfulness, here we have a really nice description or definition of what it means or what it is. It's an awareness of thoughts and feelings as they happen moment to moment. So it's about allowing ourselves to see the present moment clearly. When we do that, it can positively change the way we see ourselves and our lives. So it really is about being in the now, not thinking of the past or thinking about what's going to happen in the future, just really appreciating what is happening and going on in your life right now. And if you do find it a little bit too much, why not go for a mindful walk and, take in your surroundings, listen to, the leaves on the trees falling, squelching of the mud on your feet, etc. Really kind of take in what's going on around you. And that should hopefully kind of lift whatever kind of feelings you may be feeling. So mindful breathing is another way to help you de-stress. And I'm just going to play a little recording, so I'll let you listen. What I'd like you to do is close your eyes and let the person guide you through. So hopefully it will work.
Hi, and welcome to Headspace. So, no matter what's going on in your life right now, no matter how many thoughts are racing around your mind, no matter how the body's feeling, just take a moment to sit down and take a big, deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in, a sense of taking in fresh air, the lungs expanding. As you breathe out, a sense of letting go of any stress in the body and the mind, just feeling the muscles soften and relax. And close your eyes if you'd like to. One more. Breathing deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just take a moment to pause. Allow the thoughts to come and go. And then just gently opening the eyes again.
So that's just, it only took a minute, and obviously you can have a longer mindful breathing session, but that just kind of lets you recoup, reevaluate things, be more in the present, and hopefully de-stress you a little bit. So Now touching a little bit on mindful eating over Christmas. So mindful eating is maintaining an in-the-moment awareness of the food and drink that we eat. Um, it requires us to simply acknowledge and accept the feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations that we observe, and it can extend to the process of buying, preparing, and serving your food as well as actually consuming it. Now, within the festive period, we do tend to enjoy eating with family and friends, but are we actually consciously in the present moment acknowledging what we are putting in our mouths, or are we just kind of overindulging? So could be eating our Christmas dinner, we've plated up way too much, but we continue talking, eating, and eat too much before we actually feel full because we're perhaps eating a little bit too quickly. Or are we sitting on the sofa with a big box of chocolates and it's just putting one after the other into our mouths? And do we really need that? It's okay to have a little bit of indulgence, but if you are watching what you are eating and want to watch the calories, being a little bit more mindful when we're eating may actually help. So, a few tips then for mindful eating at Christmas. Eat slowly and enjoy the experience of Christmas dinner with your family. You don't need to eat it fast. It's not kind of, those that eat quickly get more. I know in some families, if it's, you've got to be quick, but, just savor every moment and enjoy it. Listen to your body's hunger and fullness cues. So, do you really need that mince pie in the afternoon after your big, large Christmas dinner? Or do you really need as many chocolates whilst watching the movie? Could you maybe portion it out and then set them away so you're not tempted? And also, if you're eating slowly and savoring, the flavor, texture, and taste of that chocolate, you may actually not need as many, and you may actually feel a little bit more full than what you maybe realized. And also use all your senses to enjoy the experience of eating more. So it's not just about, chewing your food and swallowing, you experience the flavors, textures, the aroma that that food brings. Next, we will move on to our healthier body pillar, and we're going to talk a little bit about exercise. There's absolutely no excuse not to be active. The government recommend that we aim for 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity a week. Of that, we should aim to have 2 days, which are more strength and conditioning training, which helps to keep our muscles and bones and joints nice and strong. And they also suggest that we should reduce long periods of sitting down with some activity. Now, I think this last point, we are more likely to do this at Christmas after our Christmas dinner. So hopefully the next slide will give you a few tips on how you can incorporate exercise or be a little bit more active over the Christmas period. So I would suggest keeping to a routine. Now, this doesn't have to be your day-to-day routine of exercising. Just maybe commit that over Christmas you want to maybe do 10, 15-minute bursts every day. Maybe just one of those 10 to 15-minute bursts is enough, but at least you're doing something. Instead of like just dandering up the stairs, if you've got stairs in the house, why not kind of go up a little bit more quickly, and that's going to burn a few more calories. You could also squat, do knee bends and heel rises when cooking or washing up. Again, may sound a little bit daft, but little steps make a big difference in the bigger picture. And then also you could get involved with tech games that encourage exercise. So, I think the Nintendo Wii was one of the first kind of games that came out. You may not have all the new ones out there at the minute, but if you have any old ones, why not get them back out of the box and enjoy it with your family? Because they are very inclusive and can be a lot of fun as well. And then instead of, just sitting on the sofa having another drink and mince pie, watching TV, after your dinner, why not like give yourself an extra push to kind of wrap up and go outside and enjoy the festive period with family on a nice leisurely walk. So whilst I've sat and I've told you that you need to try and be as healthy as possible over Christmas, think of calories, etc. Christmas is a little bit about indulgence, and with the year we've had, it's important that we allow ourselves to enjoy ourselves. So Scott Freeman, our executive chef from Government Services, has put a little clip together along with our newsletter designer to kind of show you how to make a panettone, as well as a few tips on how you can make it not healthier as such, but you don't need to eat it all in one go. So I'm just going to move on and hopefully it will work. So as you can see there, it looked absolutely delicious. Seems to be quite easy to make, but obviously it's quite a big portion. And what Scott is saying is, don't kind of just nibble on it throughout all of Christmas or eat it all in the one day. Portion it out. Make sure you wrap it up really well and put it in the freezer, and then you can enjoy it later on in January, February time. So a good tip from him there, and it does look delicious. So just to finish off the webinar, don't forget that you can sign up to our wellness newsletter that comes out every month. So December's has just come out. If you would like to have it emailed directly into your email inbox, please do email ess.wellness@compass-group.co.uk. We also have our We Are ESS YouTube channel. It is up and running, and this webinar will actually go up onto the channel shortly. So if you want to see the recipe again, you can find it there. And then also we have our Ask Your ESS Nutrition and Wellbeing Specialist service. So again, use the email address ess.wellness@compass-group.co.uk. We can answer your personal wellbeing queries. We can deliver a specific talk to you, whether that be on healthier body, healthier mind, healthier world, or healthier food. And we could do one-to-one sessions and attend health committee meetings to really support you and your teams improve overall well-being. Obviously, this year has been a challenge with getting onto units and stuff, so please don't hesitate to ask us, because we do have some virtual solutions available as well. So we will always try and help. So thank you for joining our webinar today.